Hello and welcome back to part 2 in my efforts to create an ancient conquest game that suits me. It's not going to suit everyone, but one that pleases me more. Now, I'm using parts of 2 games, Conquest of the Empire, which I showed you yesterday, and the campaigns of King David, and I'm taking what I consider as the best of both and combining them. I love this map. It's a huge 3-piece map. I love the colours on it. I love the size of it. It really is a joy to not only to look at but to play on. Is this map? So this was definitely going to be used. Now for this, we can ignore the gold coins. We can ignore the digits, because we won't be using any of that. We're not going to be using any of those rules or systems from Conquest of the Empire, nor am I going to be using those very impressive coins that came with it, although they're a nice little piece of kit on their own. But in this part, I want to show you how am I going to populate the known world, how I'm going to populate it, how am I going to decide what crops and what resources each region can provide during the turns of the game. And I've come up with what I think is a pretty reasonably simple system. First of all, if I just show you these notes that I made, and this is just in my scroll, it's nothing fancy, it's just in my scroll, but if I could go through this to start with, you might get a basic idea of what to follow. Now, there's a total of 42 provinces on this map, 42 provinces. Now, here, these are cubes. I've got 24 green, which represent barbarian or non-civilized or non-player nations, if you wish. We'll call them barbarians. That's probably an unfair title, but we'll call them barbarians. And in a bag, which I'll show you later, I've placed 24 green cubes, which each one represents an infantry, and 6 red, which represents cavalry. So you can see, obviously, the chances of you're going to get more infantry barbarians than you will on cavalry, but it all depends on what gets thrown out of a bag. Also here, we've got numbers, and this is for crops and resources. Now, I've got white, yellow, green, blue and red discs, and I've got 2 different size discs. Again, I'll show you them shortly. This is the value of them. The white is valued at 1, yellow 2, etc. to the most valuable, which is 5, red. Now, they'll be drawn out of a bag, out of 2 separate bags, because there's 2 different sized discs. They're only the old Ludo chips, and they're nothing special, as you'll see. As I say, this has been done on the cheap. It's been done with what I've got. I'm not purchasing anything, just using what I've got. And then to decide how many of these enemies will appear will depend on how many resources are in that particular region. Obviously, if it's quite a wealthy region with a decent crop, decent agricultural land and resources, there's going to be more enemy troops, enemy people living there. I mean, if it's rich land, fertile land, people are going to live there. It's not like in Conquest of the Empire where you just swan around the board and the world's empty. No, they've got to battle away on this game. And I've got costs here for various things, but this is all fluid at the moment. This is just still being worked on, but it gives me a datum point to work from. Now, if I come across and show it, I'll just set up one faction on the board. So if I just come out a little bit, no, it's got the wrong pig in where useless I am. Right. So, what have we got here? we've got Egyptus, we've got the green faction. We'll call them the Egyptians because I'll probably keep calling them the Egyptians. And their initial forces are a general here, their leader. We're not going to call him a Caesar, like we would if it was Rome. We can call him a pharaoh if you want, is Egypt. He's got 1 cavalry, 3 infantry, capital city, and a galley. And that's his starting forces. Now these are the discs I was talking about. We've got a larger one and a smaller one. These are both red, and I've done that purposely because I'm assuming that if a nation makes its home and its capital in a region, it's going to be both fertile and rich in resources. So each starting nation, whether it be 3, 4, 5 or 6, automatically will get a red disc for both crops and for resources. Now, that's all going to be recorded on these charts here. Let me come across again. I know this isn't great camera work, is it? These charts, the top one is what came with the game. And that was, it was a duel. You had different counters to represent both food and resources. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the top one for food and the bottom one, and this one was one of what I printed off from Board Game Geek for the King David game. And this is going to be for resources. Now you'll notice that the token is on the number 10 spot and not number 5. Well, the reason I've done that is because if a city is in a region, everything's doubled. So it doubles your resources and it doubles your crops. So they're both on 10, both crops and resources. And you're going to need crops, you're going to need to feed your troops, the upkeep of them, and you're going to need resources to build new armies and to maintain the ones that you've already got. You can't maintain them, they're going to disappear, they're going to disband, and you're going to lose them. So you've got to be able to supply your troops. You can't just build willy-nilly and, away we go. So let's get back to the supply and how we're going to do this. Now, next door here, we've got Cyrenaica. Now, our leader is quite impressed. He wants to get in there because the sooner he can get some land. But he doesn't know what's across the border. Now, so, if I remove, by spending 1 resource point, so I'll take that from that chart, I'll move that disc down from 10 to 9, he can scout Cyrenaica. He's doing a recce to see what's there, what's the land worth, and more importantly, is who lives there, what's he up against. And to do that, I'm using these bags. They're just bags that I had from other games. Bags that I had from other games that I've just put things in. Right. The first thing I'm going to do is, because he's now used a resource point and he wants to scout Cyrenaica, I'm going to go into the green bag, and it's full of large discs, and they're all coloured, of all them different colours. I'll pull one out, and we've got a blue. Well, looking at my chart, a blue is worth 4. So I'm going to put the large blue disc there. So crop-wise, it's rich. It's got 4. Now in the other bag, again, check it all up. I'll pull one out. What we've got here, a green. A green is 3, so it's middle of the road. So we now know the resources of Cyrenaica is pretty good. Every time they do a harvest, you're going to raise 4 crop points, 4 food points, and every time you do a build action, you know with the green disc, the smaller one, you're going to get 3 resource points. Add the 2 together, that gives you 7. Well, looking at my little dinky chart here, between 5 and 8 means there's going to be 2 enemy in that land, because it's pretty reasonably rich. It's a medium resource rich area. So in a third bag I've got those cubes I said. So because it's 2, I'm going to roll in there, I'm going to sugar it a shack, put my hand in, and I'm just going to bring out 2 cubes. Well, surprise, surprise, I've brought out 2 green ones. So it's 2 infantry in there. So I now know that in Cyrenaica, I now know the value of the land, what resources it is, the crops, and I know that there are 2 enemy units in there, both infantry. Now it's still the phase in play. He could choose to move into Cyrenaica because he's got let's face it, he's got extra troops, he's got an extra cavalry troops, and move in there and attack. It would cost another resource point if he did that. But up here, next door, we've got Palestinia. Maybe he'll spend another resource point and actually scout Palestinia, see what's on the other border. He knows what's at one side, so I'll lower that down to 8. I know I'm not showing you, but I've just moved it on the track. So let's see what's in Palestinia. He's spent his resource point. Let's see what it's worth in crop. And we've got a red. Oh, it's a good one. It's a 5. So we'll put that in Palestinia. We'll go to the resources bag. Oh, another red. Now, there you go. The chances of that are, well, they're not minuscule, but I didn't expect that to happen. But there you go. It's as valuable as that land. But of course, with it being worth 9 to 10, which it is, 5 and 5 is 10, there's going to be 3 enemy cubes in Palestina. So see what we draw this down. I'll get 1, 2, 3. Oh look, I pulled out 2 reds and a green. So they've got 2 cavalry and 1 infantry. So our pharaoh now, our leader, does he go this way for a less profitable region but a possibly slightly easier conquest, or does he go north into Palestina, which is a very rich province, but you know it's got a reasonable sized army defending it? So that will be the green player's dilemma now. It's still his turn, it's still the phase in play. Now he could now say, well, I'll pass. He knows what's there. He might think, I'll wait while there's a bill phase or something so I can actually increase my army, and I might strike both ways, or I'll just take on one. Or he can just pay another resource point and go into one of these countries, or both, if he thinks he can take them both on. So that's how I intend to populate the map. And as you can see, it's going to be different in every game. And there's no way you can plan beforehand what's going to be next door to you or what somebody else is going to do until someone actually either scouts the land or simply goes blundering in there and invades without even checking, just hoping for the best. I think it's a simple and a neat way of doing it. Yeah, I could put a big sheet of perspex on the top, you know, plexiglass, and I could write everything in with a dry white marker, but you know what dry white markers are. It gets scuffed, it gets smudged, and you rub it out, and it's just a pain in the butt. So I think this is a neater, it's unobtrusive, and I think it works. And with having the 2 different size discs, it doesn't matter where you put them in the region, you always know the larger one is the crops resources and the smaller one is just the standard resources, so you're never going to get them mixed up. Cubes, yeah, it would be nice to have figures for the barbarians, the non-civilized nations, but you know, I haven't got them, so I use what I've got. I've got these green cubes, and I mean, if you look over there, if I point over there, you can see I've got bags full of all the different coins and cubes. So you can put a different mix in the bag, in these bags. If you wanted a hard game, you could put less red and blue discs in the bags and more white and yellow, the 1s and 2s. Conversely, if you wanted to make the game easier, more blues and reds, the 4s and 5s, and less 1s and 2s, the whites and yellows. So you can actually, with this system, you can control the difficulty of the game. I think it's quite a neat little system. It's something I thought through. I've not invented it. I'm sure someone's got something similar to this already. But I just thought it would be a nice way of doing it. And with a simple record track, look, you can see he's down to 8 now because he's done two patrols, two reconnaissance. So, and I just think it would be a neat way to populate the map, and it makes every area potentially important. And we won't have this gaggle in the middle fighting over Italy, Achaia, and everything else on the map is blank because nobody's interested in anything else. Well, now they are. Well, straight away, Palestine, that is an attractive looking prospect. And up there in Mesopotamia, which is only a couple of spaces away, there'll be probably be another player, active player. Now he thinks, well, he can already see that. He thinks, I might just move south. I already know there's a rich province there. I might just move south. So you can see it's going to bring more. Well, I hope it will. More choices, more thought into the game, and armies can't just walk across the map willy-nilly, empty space. Nobody lives there until the 6 factions meet each other. No, before they meet each other, they're going to have to battle for that land. They're going to have to discover it. They're going to have to see what's there. Is it worth fighting for? And then have to battle to take it before they even think about facing each other. And I think that, for me, that's what I want. It's the kind of game I like. Anyway, I've gone on a bit longer than I wanted. So I'll stop there. In the next part, we'll talk about the game turn and how I plan to do that. So I'll speak to you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you wish, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.